It was.
Well, right, but from shoppers, we collected 844 pounds.
Now, they weren't ready for that.
Yeah,
Right.
so, and our numbers are up here, just in case you want to see. I thought you might want to talk about the graphic organizer.
Well, part of the presentation is what we found over 4 years is what we've been doing unintentionally, actually, is enlarging the involved community in the participation in it, spreading the information. Because at the beginning, it was just us and the vendors. And then the second year, we tried to involve the shoppers, which the continuing story is the following year. And that's when we got rid of the boxes, and the vendors, by the way, cheered because they got in the way, okay, so they were happy to see them go. But we were able to start thinking about other ways to do this. And it came to an idea within our group about how to increase.
Shopper donations,
Yep.
right?
And how did they do that?
So my husband, Tom Zyra, came up with this idea of having bowls of produce labeled with $5 each on a gleaning table in the market. And shoppers can then come, then we did have a nice big box, and shoppers can come and give the gleaners $5 and choose what produce they want to put in the box. And that, I have to tell you, when he first came up with this idea, I thought, I don't think that'll work. But it did work. It was very effective. And we increased, as you can see in the front, we increased our shopper donations by quite a bit. Let me look what our number was. 1,322 pounds by shoppers. And so we increased our total donations close to $9,000 we were able to distribute to area food kitchens. You were going to talk about the grant as well.
Right, because that was also the year, in 2024, the grant that Courtney mentioned in the Environmental Commission approved a green grant, and so we were able to use that. And what we used it for was to be able to try to bring together another part of our community together with everyone else, and that was the nonprofit agencies. The idea was, using the grant, could we increase the communication interaction from the vendors to the public and to the agency staff? And we did that twofold, maybe. One was the gleaning table providing extra resources, but another was using it to, we sent our amazing team, husband and wife team, out to every agency, to visit every agency, which were 7, okay? We had 7 different agencies that we were providing food to. And so you can talk more about your experience.
It was very interesting. We went out and met with the director of each one of the area food kitchens that participates with us. Got to see how they run their operation. They are very individual, lots of differences, but they're very dedicated and very proud of what they do. And we created a photo board for each one of the agencies like this, because part of the grant, Dave had this brilliant idea of inviting a rep from one of the nonprofits for one Saturday during the season and providing them with $100 to spend, which allowed them to then get to know the farmers, the vendors, and the vendors to get to know them. And then they hung out with us at the table for a little while, and the public, the shoppers, could see what was going on in their agencies, in their nonprofits.
The $100 wasn't market bucks. They were restricted in the usage. It was going to be at the market, right? I'm sorry, I lost my place.
Well, the other thing that the grant did provide for us was we decided that if we were going to ask people to donate money at the market, they needed to have a little bit of understanding of the fact that we were associated with Meridian Township. We were an entity, a known entity. So one of the things that the grant provided was a gleaning tablecloth that would identify us, and T-shirts for those of us who work at the gleaning table, and some of those other things that would help the public get to know us as gleaners. And
One of the benefits, of course, was that now we've added a third group, and our community continues to get larger. People that know each other, people that share the same goal or a similar goal. I'm sure there are many goals. And so we've enlarged the community again. That leads, in the end of that season was 4 tons. So we've gone from 2 to 3 to 4, and that leads us into 2025. And we have decided that there's another way that we'd like to enlarge our community at the market in working on these goals of reducing food waste and providing food to those in need. And that was an idea of providing, well, last year we had, I'm sorry, I'm paying attention to the time. Last year, some of the comments brought to our table was, can I bring stuff from my home? I've got some garden products that I'd like to, and we had to respond to say, no, I'm sorry, we aren't set up to do that. Well, we took that information and we've developed a plan for this season. And it's Grow and Glean program, in which what we're doing is encouraging people with their own family garden and trying to publicize that if you are growing and you have too much zucchini, you're tired of it, and your neighbors are tired of it, that you can bring it to the market and we'll find a home for it. In addition to that, through the Greater Lansing Food Bank Garden Project, we were able to acquire packets of seeds. And so now during May, because we're not gleaning until June, now every Saturday in May, we're at the market and we're providing free seed packets to anyone who would like them. And the information, of course, is that they're not signing any contract, but we're letting them know that as they reap the product of their garden, if there is a row that they'd like to donate, or just if there's excess, we would be available to take it. And so we're, so far, it's quite heartening to see the reaction of the community to that concept about the circularity of it, you know. And that takes us into another realm in which it isn't limited to people who come to the market. It's anyone within the community can provide product for those in need that we'll provide, or they'll provide, we'll distribute. We don't, we're just distributors. And so it's been a very encouraging effort so far.
And to that end, we created these flyers that we are posting around town to let people know that if you have excess produce, bring it to the market and we'll see that it gets to people who are hungry. And if any of you want to take some of these, if you have people you can share them with or places to post them, that would be great. I'm going to leave some on the table. But we're hoping that that will help. And I have to say, passing out seed packets on Saturday, I could not believe the enthusiasm from the public. It was really exciting. So we've worked hard to try to help people understand what we're doing and how they can be a part of it. And there was a lot of enthusiasm among the shoppers saying, oh yeah, I'm going to come back. And some people even said, I don't have a garden of my own, but I'm going to grow things and bring them to the market. So Dave is cautiously optimistic. I'm super optimistic. The other thing that we're doing this year to try to get more people to come to our table and understand what we're doing is another one of my husband's ideas. He has written letters to celebrities, local celebrities, inviting them to come and spend an hour or two on a Saturday with us and just kind of herd people to the gleaning table so that the volunteers can explain things. So we have already heard back from the Meridian Township Police Chief that he would love to come. We're trying to get Tom Izzo to bring a basketball player and also the women's coach to bring a basketball player. We'll see what happens. We're going to check back with the people who have received letters, but we're hoping to just really continue to grow the program.
Any questions?
First, I just want to thank you for being here. We've been so excited about this program, and when Director Wazinski suggested it be presented, we very much wanted to do it at one of our televised meetings. So we appreciate your dedication and the time you're spending with us. With that, Commissioner Rambo, do you have some questions or comments?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think what you're doing is amazing. It's such a brilliant idea, and the way you've evolved it is incredible. I don't necessarily have questions other than I definitely want some flyers. I have people that I know, including myself, who have home gardens, who definitely get sick of their zucchini and would love to have a place to take it other than the freezer for zucchini bread. So thank you. I just think it's amazing. And if you're ever looking for volunteers, maybe it's something, a park commissioner could help wrangle people to your table.
And we feel like we would love to have more volunteers join us. It was, when Val told us about it, she said, it's a great gig. You can come once every week. You can come a few times during the summer. We have signup.com that we use. So people go in and they can work around their vacations and all their activities. Works out really well. So if any of you want to volunteer or pass it along to friends, we are definitely looking for more volunteers.
And we're talking about 1-hour shifts. I mean, it's not all day at the market. So, yes, if there are any volunteers, we're ready.
Commissioner McDonald, comments or questions?
I guess it's also a comment that and they're very prominent on Facebook, the Davies Project that helps get Medicaid kids to doctors and hospitals. One of the celebrities connected with it is the women's basketball coach, and MSU athletic department / women's basketball have been generous to the Davies Project, and the coach herself played at Okemos, and whether she lives there or not now, but she's a local celebrity, and she has, 15 or 16 current players, and one of her former players works full-time at the Davies. So if you gave the office a call, you'd be treated very well. And I think her first name is Madrika, but you wouldn't need to speak to her if you just said what you were asking about.
Great idea, thank you.
Commissioner Lick?
Yes, so 2 questions. One is, do the seeds that you provide, are they provided from the grant as well? Or is that, how do you get the seeds?
Oh, that was the garden project.
The garden project.
Yes, and they just give them away.
Oh.
And so I asked for a bunch, and they gave us a bunch.
That's
We have enough to last 5 different Saturdays, yes. We've had 200 customers so far.
Okay, great. I know that Kinawa and Chippewa Okemos schools, I believe, have gardens, at least Kinawa, I believe. So I was just wondering if you've reached out to the schools that have gardens and to see if they have any access, because I know they do plant sales. But since you both are educators or former educators, I think involving kids in this at some point would be really wonderful too, because I know when my kids bring seeds home, they just want to watch something grow. And I always put the seeds in the ground when they bring them home because they would encourage me to. So at least even just to see what came up. So I think that might be a neat idea to include kids. But thank you so much for what you're doing. I think as you spoke about the circular piece of this and, starting from seed to growing to being able to come back. And I know that people are always looking for ways to give back to their community that doesn't require, they want to give their time, but also it's hard to give your time. And so this is a way that they're providing for themselves and also providing for others. I think it's really wonderful. So thank you for presenting today. I didn't know what a cleaner was until today, so I also learned that as well. So I look forward to volunteering at some point. Thank you.
Great.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys rock. It's a great community, and people like you make it a great community. So, thank you. Is there ever a chance that there would be too much?
No.
No? Okay. Just wondering, because you said that was one of the things, is that to get it to the.
Too much zucchini, maybe.
Yes. Everybody at the market talks about zucchini month.
So, but that would never be a situation because you've expanded enough where you can get it to people if they really flood you with a lot of stuff.
Yes, we're well aware, we're kind of connected with Food Rescue too, which is a much larger organization right now. And we're kind of connected with them, and I'm sure that we could get their help. We're aware of, we're limited to 7 agencies because of the amount of food that we're taking in that they can use it all. If we get more, we'll add agencies. We've added Edgewood Village this year because Okemos Community Pantry didn't need us because Food Rescue was supplying all of their needs. So we're ready to add other agencies as it is required.
Do you guys work with RSVP, the Retired Senior Volunteer Program?
No.
Carol Wood is involved in that in the Lansing area, but they have people that do that for folks in the community, help however they want. So I use them for our fishing programs, and they're just wonderful people. So you might want to contact them if you need more volunteers too.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to applaud you for your creativity. I thought that was very
great.
impressive. Are you able to tell us who the food rescue organizations are, or is that something that's confidential?
Oh, well, the agencies that we deliver
Yes.
to or we provide for, certainly. Cristo Rey Community Center.
St. John's Food Cupboard, Hazlet. We do
Southside Community Kitchen,
Williamston
Food Bank, right?
Pantry.
Right, Hazlet Food Pantry. Where are we leaving out? Edgewood? And, yeah, that might be, that's 6?
I think you're missing one, Dave.
I got it in my notebook.
Boy, don't tell whoever it is, okay? Just tell them,
off the cameras, it's
it's a memory thing, okay? Yeah.
I know what it is, First Presbyterian Church.
Oh, but don't tell about that one.
Right.
Thank you for that.
Marta and her group at First Presbyterian are very helpful, and they provide a lot of support for their community with the food, yeah.
Director Rosinski, did you have anything?
I just want to say, I remember when it started and how much it's grown, and Commissioner, like, I too was, I should know this, but what's gleaning? And so that's why I thought it would be really important for everybody to understand what gleaning is, how they can help, and then just to know how much our team is giving back to surrounding communities, not just ours. So I thank you so much. I did see all the people at the seed booth, and that was really exciting. So
Yeah, it
we'll
was
try and get you some volunteers.
Okay.
Any last questions?
I had one. I was just wondering if you had the numbers on how many people this program feeds?
No.
I just was curious. I'm sure it's a lot.
Yes, maybe we ought to acquire that, because I'm sure every one of the agencies can provide us an estimate, okay? Because they would be keeping track of how many meals the Southside Kitchen provides. And so that'd probably be a good piece of data for us to have. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue and Dave. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey. Director Rosinski, communications?
Communications. So in your packet, you'll have the April land stewardship. Or I'm sorry, May, should be May. We'll correct that, Chair. The May stewardship. So the team has been really getting together their management plans and really getting out into all the preserves to do the stewardship. So similarly though, stewardship Saturdays, weekday warriors, and trailside ecology. I will say that our stewardship team on their own time spent time at the rattlesnake camp this
Oh, yeah, that was
past
this week, yeah.
the past
Didn't
week.
get many rattlesnakes out here.
There was quite a few pictures they sent me, so. It's a sanctuary for Michigan rattlers, and, but you learn about many other things about ecosystems and the food chain. So that was really exciting. It's fun to watch people get excited about their job. And so,
We have the largest population of Massasauga rattlesnakes at Camp Grayling, that's where they were.
That's where they were, yeah.
In the world. In
No
the world.
kidding.
Yeah, it's pretty well.
they're actually beautiful.
At Camp
through a
Grayling.
picture.
What's that?
They're actually very beautiful through a picture.
Yeah.
So that's our stewardship. Just a note, we I will provide this to our commissioners, but our Harris Nature Center calendar has some sensitive information about which school groups go to there. So we thought we could just provide that to the commissioners and not make that public. So that is one thing, but what I thought we could do is I added in here, and I don't know how many people do get the playbook. The playbook is our monthly Parks and Rec newsletter, but it's electronic now. But it does have all of the events coming up, all the ways you can volunteer, whatever's happening. This comes out of our communications team, and they do a fantastic job. If you ever need anything to go into Parks and Rec and want to promote something, just call me and we can get it over to our communications team. But with that, we do have Meridian Pride Celebration coming up May 31st. So it's a couple weeks. Hannah and I are not panicking, it's fine. But,
Does seem like it's coming up quick.
yeah, it's, you know what, it's a great event and it's relatively easy. People just love it. It's become very family oriented. Vendors contact us. Capital Area District Library contacts us. They provide crafts for the kids, and we'll have some chalk art, and then the very first family-friendly drag show this year. So we're really excited about that. So that's in here. Of course, Farmers Market is going on. We are all well aware of that. We do have a lot of sponsors that are sponsoring all of our events this year. It's within the playbook. So I'll just say them really quickly, but CATA, Docs Automotive, Playmakers, American House, WLNS, Meridian Plumbing, Fahey Schultz, Bergic Roads, AC&E Equipment, Meyer, Graf, Chevrolet, Nokomis, Culver's, CBL, Fast Eddies, Granger, Hammond Farms, and Club Pilates. They've been very generous, and what we've done is we've taken all sponsorships coming into the township and then redistributing to whatever events might need them. So it's been really great. Harris does have a Motivated by Nature Run Walk coming up. In this, all the registration buttons are in there. So I'll make sure that every commissioner has the sign up for this. We have some edible wild plant walks, night out for nature for the kiddos, planting a Native American, I don't know, I'm very tired, I'm sorry. Planting a Native Meridian, and then some trailside ecology and stewardship. So very excited about that. I'll make sure we all have that, and I don't know, Chair, maybe we put a link into the agenda so other people can
great.
sign up too? Okay.
That'd be a great idea.
So that is my communications for the month of May.
We have a motion to approve and put the communications on file.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no? Hearing no noes? That passes unanimously. Agenda item number 8, discussion items. Director Rosinski?
So we had this on our last agenda. I expect, as we talked last week, or last month, that we'll just continue to have this on the agenda. As far as discussion, I think maybe what we could do is I can start breaking it down into pieces, and then during our meetings, we could have discussions about it. I have reviewed it. The bones are good. They're really good. So I think we can easily do this internally. But coming up with our goals and what do we want to see, some of the CIP projects and such, just thinking about some of that and some of our new programs. I think we could include that. This was, I thought, going to be a one-year program, the gleaning program, and look what they've done over the last few years. So I don't have anything prepared. I just wanted to make sure and see if the commissioners are agreeable to breaking it down into little pieces, and we talk about one little piece.
Prefer that.
You know what I would like, if you have it, I know you're going to meet, I think, with Tim to do a schedule, if maybe by the July,
Yes,
even
schedule.
August meeting, so that it helps me to see something as far as where our deadlines are, and then counting back as to what, and see where we need to be kicking in.
Yes, I remember that. Thank you. Perfect. And then the next discussion item is, does anybody have any questions about that 5-year plan? Red Cedar Water Trail Program. Oh, I'm just going to make up words. So this is ongoing, of course. We had 2 interviews with 2 potential intern candidates. Both were fantastic, so it's going to be hard, but we can't lose in this one. People are really excited about this, but another thing that we're working on as the work group is applying for the DNR Water Trail designation. So Williamston's is, they have their resolution happen this month. Ours will go to the board this month, and so then we can move forward on that. So it's really exciting. Middle Grand and Grand have already done it, so this will be the Red Cedar, and so we're just making this continuity through the waterways in Michigan.
The 2 have already applied, or
Middle
they've done their
Grand,
grant?
Middle Grand I believe has applied. I can double check and follow up. Yep.
Nobody has been issued
Designated.
anything,
I don't believe
designated
so.
or anything
Right,
yet?
they're
Okay.
all working together, yep.
All right, thank you.
And any questions, other? No?
No, I just had, I'm going to actually defer to Mike. I hate to put you on the spot, but, because I think there was some legislation potentially proposed that may down the road, if it's passed, add additional monies to water trails. Does that sound familiar?
No, I
There was
haven't
some
been
of the
up to date
MPARs.
on
Okay.
that.
Well, we'll
given-
kind of watch that. It seems like I
Okay.
saw that at the tail end. I don't think it's timely for right now, but it was to add, they were looking at doing the recreation passport differently.
Well, I did see
You know, what
something
goes
about
to
that,
what. And I
right?
think the last part I picked up, it's always so hard. I have to stop trying to read everything on this phone. But I think the last part was, I thought it was 2% was then going to go specifically to water trails. And then they were divvying up the rest in different ways, but
The movement is still alive, but the session last year when it could have passed, it didn't.
okay.
And now it's even more than 56, 54. It's like 58, 52 R and D. And it seems like, unlike the original passport, that these later proposals not get shunted off just on party lines, but that's who controls the committees. And it didn't get to the House or Senate floor. Having said that, because it didn't come up to a vote, you probably saw a part of it that I didn't see. The key thing for me, along with flipping the way you would do your passport documents,
Opting in instead of opting out, yeah.
right, is that I think the final proposal had 15% of the passport grants going to, passport money, going to local units, and it's currently 10.
That's what I recollect too. And I think it is a bipartisan, maybe when they offered up recommendation with Senator Cherry, who was familiar, I think, was he there when you were at the DNR? Anyway, he has familiarity and it was bipartisan, so.
Well, he presented Parks Director, retiring Parks Director Ron Olson, one of his probably many retirement plaques. I believe John has also been honored as, Conservationist Senator of the Year. And he really does walk the walk issue. Where it's a behind-the-scenes thing mostly, but he's also involved in the Flint State Park, which has, I think, $2.5 million set aside for it from the ARPA funds. So it's not a proposal, it's going towards getting done.
So stay tuned.
Yeah. And contact your senator, your representative senator, ask them questions, make sure that it's on their agenda.
It's a great point because last year's bill was sponsored by Julie Birksey, and maybe this year's bill will be sponsored by somebody else. I don't know.
It needs to be sponsored, though, and people need to know about it. So, that's something that the Passport Program provides dollars for communities. And if you're a community that wants to rely on some of those dollars, then tell your senator that this is important stuff, or your rep, or whoever, just let them know. It's easy to call them, let them know it's on your radar and we're watching what you're doing. So,
You know, Courtney, you might enjoy a meeting or a coffee or something, a smoothie with the new-ish director of M Parks, Nicole Fisher.
Nicole and I talk quite a bit.
great.
Don't-
Yeah, she's fantastic. And M Parks is a very solid and tangible organization. So I've noticed that they do walk the walk, so.
Yep, and have a lot of innovative ways of getting information out, especially including some online seminars where you don't need to go to the place. You might have a seminar on young professionals, and it would be online. The annual conference is almost always held in late February. This year, I think, Director, it might have just been March 1, 2, 3, but that's the next time the whole group will get together. And I don't know if there's much on I don't read the newspapers anymore, really. Is there much on the docket this year for the State House and Senate to do, or not really?
They do have a policy committee. I'm not terribly familiar with the policy committee piece, so I can look for it.
Director Wazinski, anything additional on Red Cedar Water Trail?
No, I thank you for bringing that up. We did talk about that.
Okay, we have no action items, correct?
No.
All righty. And then this is the Courtney show. We're on to director's report.
I get a lot of support from the commissioners, so I don't feel like it's a great show. So we are moving in a direction on our budget. So it's still, and the first one is incorrect. Sorry, go to the second one. So our capital improvement projects are starting to move forward. We know for the 5280 Okemos Road, that will be the new trailhead at the Phase 2 and at Nancy Moore Park. We applied for that grant, so we're just waiting to hear back. That probably won't be until like October. But I'm looking at the grant software, just making sure that there's no questions coming up or anything like that. But we've got a great grant coordinator over at the DNR, so that's been great. We have the Towner Road Inclusive Playground and the Ottawa Hills Playground. Ottawa Hills for public is a small neighborhood park, where Towner Road up on the north side is a very large athletic field park. So just to put a little bit in perspective, first off, the cost, the difference in cost. But also, looking at Towner Road, I know, and Amanda, I'm sure we've all probably incurred this, but when I had the older sib playing a sport, the little sibs would be playing on the playgrounds. Towner Road is very, very large. So we're looking at doing possibly two playgrounds, two smaller inclusive playgrounds, so that the soccer, lacrosse, football fields that are on the south side will have a playground, where the baseball fields on the north side and pickleball courts will have. So we're looking at that. I've requested bids for both of those. And so we'll see where they come in at. And I'm still working to move towards all-inclusive playgrounds with the type of like port in place, or something that's much more accessible for a wheelchair, or people that might have, need a little bit flatter surface to be safe. So working towards that, but on that same scale, that's an additional cost. So we might have to reduce the size of the structure to make sure that we can be inclusive for everybody. So working through that this year. We just talked about Red Cedar Waterway, Marshall Park amenities. So this was in addition to the work that we did last year, where we've installed the new playground. We resurfaced the basketball and the basketball court in the parking area. We planted native plants. And in addition to that, there were some other amenities that we wanted to do. So we'll look at shade structures and picnic areas. And then on our survey that we did in 2024, a path that can go back from Columbia all the way up to the parking lot too. The Environmental Commission has been having discussions about possibly putting in some bioswales at that would be the east side of the park, because that part of the lake is beginning to flood more and more. And so we have an opportunity, because we have very wet soil there, to maybe to engineer that so it could even be better at watershed management. So that would maybe come out of climate sustainability funds. We could match it with some of our funds and do some really cool stuff. So more to come on that. The Environmental Commission's in discussions about that.
Courtney, just quick, I had an occasion to be over at the Marshall Park structure this week, actually. And I was actually very pleased that it was as accommodating accessibility-wise, because, until you're actually walking through that, you don't know, and look forward to more shade. And I know we've
Yes.
talked about that with our amenities. And what I hadn't picked up before, it's difficult to get from the parking area over to the playground. You have to quite circumvent, and it's wet there. So whatever we do, I know that's coming.
That's a great idea.
It'll have to be a wet day, but that would be something to look at. Not to go through the swings necessarily, but there's got to be something there. I just hadn't picked that up before, so. But yeah, it was
Well, eventually
surprised.
people will tell us, because there'll be a path more into
That's true.
the easiest thing, so
You know, it's
eventually they'll
wet though,
tell
it's
us.
that soggy, wet grass, so.
Some of, thank you for bringing that up. Some of the discussions I've had with the local road program, those roads are on the agenda for coming up relatively soon, within the next year or two, that we could increase roadside parking that's paved. So the idea of pushing the play structure north, hoping that we can have some north parking with a path, and then maybe thinking about coming from the other way as well. So, yeah, thank you for that.
I think it turned out to be a great project, and everything coming will just make it better. I'm excited to see what Emma comes up with for some of the tactile that would be accessible aspects too, is to have something usually that gets excluded from a project, but to have something that kids can touch and smell.
Yeah. It's really a beautiful park and in a great area. So we're just waiting for some more discussions, and I'll keep you posted on that. Cricket engineering and site prep, we're waiting for it to not be so wet. So, and then we'll have our engineering team go out, take a look, and get started on preliminary, what is it gonna take to do this? And is the North Meridian Park the best place for it based on soil conditions or, accessibility? And then Towner Road baseball field restoration has been completed. Both of those fields were installed in, I want to say, 2017, 18. And they were very large fields. We're not using them in the age group that would need that large of a field. So we've reduced the field size, but we had to add more of the surface material too. So we redid all that for safety reasons, and then for better play with younger kids. So that has been completed.
Nice.
Any questions on budget? Great. You want me to take senior and?
Yes, this is a handoff now. I might add something as I did get a chance to watch the meeting.
Oh, excellent.
They did a great job, by the way.
So the Senior and Community Center Task Force met over a period of time with the task of bringing to the Township Board recommendations for a senior center and a senior community center. So over that period of time, the task force did develop that. We presented it to the Township Board, and the Township Board had questions and, really concerned about millage rates in this time of, just things are becoming more costly for multiple reasons. So they were very careful about looking at that and contemplating that. With that being said, they had asked us to maybe bring back, when I say us, staff, to bring back some additional ideas of maybe a reduced community center. So we brought back a few different ideas, and at the last board meeting, they, they passed what I would call a reduced senior community center. So it will go to the ballot with a reduced senior community center. And the reduction came from the youth programming area, instead of 2 gyms, 1 gym, and then an additional meeting room, one of the large meeting spaces. With reducing that to reduce the cost quite a bit, so it brought the millage rate down quite a bit. So that is what will go to the ballot on August 5th, I want to say August 5th. And so the voters then decide at that point, yay or nay for this. It might seem that it's pressed for time, but we are working with that state-issued grant for $5 million. So we want to make sure that we comply with the grant requirements so that we can continue to use that. And that money has to be spent by September 30th, 2026. So we all know construction takes a minute. So we're preparing on the staff side to be ready to hit the ground once the votes come in. So
What's a current ballpark-ish number for the community senior center revised version?
when you say number, like total cost?
Yeah, 27 million, 15 million.
Oh, they reduced it, Commissioner McDonald, so I don't want to misspeak on
That's all
that.
right.
But I will speak to, there's construction cost and then there's operating costs.
Well,
It's-
that's a necessity.
Yeah.
I think, though, my question was simply the construction costs.
Because it changed a couple times, I am not positive, but I'll follow up.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yep.
Also, partly just quick, the task force, excuse me, was charged of offering up 2 options to the board. And that's what the task force did with a recommendation that it would be a millage. There's no way to do that without a millage, unfortunately. And then the board, from what I viewed and understand, it then became 5 options. So, there was tweaking, and my sense is, everybody wants this, and the board was clear, and there were some concerns on both sides, but the board was clear that this is something that the community has said they've wanted for like 3 years as one of their top 3 items. From my own perspective, that's great. I'm not sure people want to pay a lot for it, so that's why it'll be interesting when it goes. Every person from the public that spoke that night was concerned about millage rates, additional taxes, affordable housing in the community, to try and maintain a community that people can still get into, and not necessarily ones that are prohibitive to their kids or anyone else. So I think what happened through that board discussion was interesting, and it's time for it. They selected one option, and it's time for it to go to the public. But I think that's it. We all want something. We don't necessarily want the charge that goes with this, and so we'll see. We have such a generous community. At the same time, these are different times, and each one from the public, and we've heard that, I think, among our commission even. It's a more uncertain time, and people are more concerned right now. And so it's on track for where it needs to be.
Jerry, have a couple
Okay.
And just
questions.
another quick thing is that if we had more time, because there was a comment on that, it seems so, it's crunched in there. My belief is if we had 6 more months, it would just be additional regurgitations of small various changes, so. Okay, yes.
One question is around the millage rate. Do we know roughly around what it landed on? And the reason I'm asking is because I know that there was a millage that may be falling off. So, I'm just curious, what the overall increase, or if there'd be an increase, it would be just continuing with the current millage level. But if you don't know right now, Director Winzinski, it's okay. No.
I will follow up. I don't want to give it misinformation, and it went back and forth quite a bit.
I think partly there were different ones mentioned, what I recollect. I'm not convinced that it was finalized.
Okay.
So, but that's just my
And then
recollection.
my other question is, where did we land on this site? Is it still The,
Question.
Correct, yes, it's the Meridian Township owned parcel between the post office and Central Fire Station.
okay,
Which is how the costs are reduced, because it's the only property that we
we
do
own,
own.
okay.
Michael?
Well, and what few members of the community that have talked to me about it, they are supportive of putting it at that location and would, not them, but all of us would trust when we go to assuming the millage passes, all of us would put our trust, in the engineering firm to make sure that there isn't anything hot out there, because I think there's no one around that probably knows the history, but it looked to me in the few times I've been out there with my past dog that it has been kind of a dumping site of broken up concrete and re-rod, which are not hazardous, but there's always the possibility of something else being in there. And the mall is at least 50 years old now, right?
You're right.
So back then, it might be where some of that stuff came from.
I'm going to speak, I'm hoping I'm correct, but that parcel is part of the same parcel as Central Fire. So all the environmental that would have had to be done for new.
Okay.
So that, because that's a really good point. There was some site restoration for drainage. So that piece, that engineering piece is really what's going to take some time. And
Yeah, that wet area, that's a pretty wet area in some of that.
yeah, there are
In
wetlands
high
there.
water times, yeah.
Yes, there are wetlands there. And then considering some of the other infrastructure like water, sewer, that's not there yet. So there is quite a bit of work to do before the buildings even, the footings are in.
Commissioner Rainbow, did you think?
Yeah, I have two questions. So my first question is, you said there's a reduction so that the millage would be reduced. And it's still a community center, but part of the reduction was of the youth space. Could you speak a little bit to what the youth space will look like now with this reduction?
Sure. So I'll go back a little bit in history. The conversations from all the listening sessions and all of the meetings, it was really the staff and the architects trying to accommodate what some of the needs were, or some of the needs that were mentioned. So there was an opportunity within the concept plan to add in what they called youth programming, which as the director, I expect that to be something like enrichments, like different enrichment programs and dropping, daycare, wouldn't be daycare, but drop-in camps or arts and crafts or esports or something like that. It hadn't been totally flushed out because that was a task force ad, not necessarily a staff ad. So we wouldn't have that opportunity right now. But the way that the building's going to be constructed will allow for future construction of youth programming, the second gym, and potentially some more meeting space.
But there is a youth programming space.
That name is a little quirky. So the youth programming space will be the gym.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that would be your basketball, volleyball, and pickleball, and/or any other drop-in types of sports.
Okay.
So there'd be not much opportunity, although we do have community rooms, for those types of enrichment programs that really need a space and not just come in and out of. Crafts, we could, use a community room, but esports would need a designated space.
Right.
So the plan they selected was a reduced plan, but allowed for the opportunity for expansion.
Yeah.
I think was
That's
what
nice.
they went with, but it's,
But the original building that's going in is then mostly a senior center?
So it does have a designated senior center. In addition to that, we will have, if passed, a community room that holds up to 120 people. We'll have like a stage area, more of a platform, but so you could do presentations or things of that sort. So that will stay as part of the community center. The gym is part of the community center, and then staffing offices. So park staff, a lot of the park staff will move over there. And then some of the extra areas can be shared at different times.
And then,
So it still is a combined.
Yes.
I guess is what you're going to, and part of it that, I had the options, even if they did just a senior center, the footprint isn't appreciably smaller because you still have a lot of the utilities and things like that. And the millage wouldn't have necessarily been a lot, and a lot less. So that's why they went with that plan, which had high support from almost everyone to have a combined. That was reemphasized.
thank you. And then my last question is, you said we have that grant money that we have to spend to buy. What happens if the millage doesn't pass?
That's the magic question, right?
Okay.
So, and that's why we have to have it on the August ballot, so that we're hoping passes, and then we have enough time for construction and spend that. If not, we go back to the drawing board and we find a home for our seniors.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else?
I think I talked about everything within the playbook as far as anything miscellaneous, unless I missed anything, Chair. No miscellaneous, I'm sorry.
I didn't want to cut you short. Okay, we'll go on to Commissioner liaison reports, and I'm just expecting these to be brief, but allow us an opportunity. For Township Board, I basically that was the last meeting that they had, was principally on the senior community center, so that will be my update for right now. Lynn Perez?
I do not have an update at this point for you guys.
We
Other than
talked
this
about the
is
timing
field
more so
season.
on.
This is crazy field season, so people are out there working really hard. We have a lot of volunteers that are working with Emma and the group, and so.
She is something else.
Yeah, she's something else.
You know?
She's taken it to another level, no doubt.
Yeah.
Commissioner McDonald?
Similar to Mark, I don't have anything to report, and maybe once Hannah gets situated, she might be able to reach out and just pass my name along, kind of a email to the chair of that commission and a CC to me that should I be on the quote mailing list.
You bet.
Commissioner Rambo?
No update?
And Commissioner Lick?
I just would like to share some things so for anyone in the community that's looking to connect with the indigenous, culture that was here before us, I think it's really interesting. They have language classes on Wednesdays from 6 to 7:15, which anyone's welcome. They also have Saturday craft social, and they invite anyone to join. And they also, if you are Indigenous, Native, they have family wellness activities. So they do have board meetings, which I'll be planning to attend in June. But I did want to share that because I thought that was really incredible, and I'll be making my way to one of those language classes for sure, because I think it's the language is just so beautiful, and I think it's something that we could all incorporate and then, root ourselves in as part of our history in this country. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with everyone tonight, but no other update than that.
Okay, thank you. No public comment? No?
Do you want to hear anything from the Environmental Commission?
Go ahead.
I could take.
It's Richard, correct?
Yes, Richard Mixachek, so I'm a member of the Environmental Commission and liaison to the Parks Commission, so that's why I'm in attendance tonight. I can make a few pertinent reports from our last meeting, which was the prior Wednesday on May 7th. We had a very informative presentation from two members of the Lansing Area Food Rescue Program, which paralleled and complemented what we heard tonight. That was Val Lafferty and Gabby Meyer presented on their program. They have a remarkable track record. It's an all-volunteer organization, and they have an app that they involve their volunteers with to find out when there are surplus foods from either grocery stores, restaurants, other sources of food, surplus food, and then the drivers come pick it up and deliver it to organizations throughout the greater Lansing area that need that food. So it's quite an impressive program. The Environmental Commission also approved a wetland use permit. This would be for a trail connector over near the Hattrick Trail. It's essentially from the Robbins Way cul-de-sac. It'll complete a trail up to the Hattrick Okemos Trail near I think it's the Elderberry Street, Elderberry Drive cul-de-sac. So the reason why that required a wetland use permit is that in order to complete that trail, they're spanning an area of wetland, and they have to install a culvert essentially to build the trail over that, the pathway over that. Township staff also provided some clarification on the stormwater mitigation project in Marshall Park. The thinking there is that the township would like to use some unspent funds from the 2024 climate sustainability budget. And the board essentially gave the green light to go ahead with planning for that. The funds, unspent funds from the climate sustainability budget will not cover the entire cost of the bioswale that they envision there. But as Director Wazinski mentioned, that would probably be a shared project between the Parks Commission and the Environmental Commission Climate Sustainability Fund. And then the other thing I would mention, it was already mentioned very briefly, is that this Saturday at the Farmers Market, there's going to be a Planting Green Meridian program. So the Emma Campbell and our stewardship staff will be manning a table there to answer questions about native plants. There's also going to be some representatives talking about organic recycling and composting. So I'd encourage anyone who is available and plans to attend the farmers market to drop by those tables and ask any questions you have regarding that. And that's it from.
Thank you, Richard.
our end.
Really
Sure.
appreciate that. Okay, and finally, other matters and commissioners' comments. Commissioner Stevens?
No, just been doing a lot of work in the communities with kids fishing, and we've released salmon into the Red Cedar River with a bunch of kids and got them in waders and have them, experiencing water for the first time, walking in it. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And we did some fishing in the Meridian Township Village with high water, so fishing wasn't really successful, but we did catch a number of fish that we had planted. And we saw a whole school, probably of 70 of the perch that we had that were swimming along the edge, and the kids were like, what kind of fish are those all striped up? And I was like, yeah, we just put those in there last year. So they did make it through the year, and so that's exciting as well. And we were catching a bunch of crappie and some 8-inch bass, which is what we put in last year as well. So good stuff. Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
Commissioner Lake?
No comment.
Commissioner McDonald?
Over the last month, I got a phone call from a good friend of mine and yours too, Mary, a DNR retiree, Steve DeBray-Bender, who also ran the grants program. And the concept that Steve was talking about was not familiar to me, but it was the founder of the lacrosse program in Meridian Township has passed away. And I don't know, Steve didn't talk to you or Mike, did he?
I have had a couple conversations with
Well,
Steve.
then he did the thing I suggested.
Good.
So do you want to carry it from there? You want me just to segue to you that in our discussion, first of all, Steve is a strong supporter of not having parks named after people living or dead. However, exceptions are made to that, such as in the DNR and here in Clinton. So the area that Steve and I talked about the most was, is that Newton?
Newton Road
Newton
Park.
Road Park, that's, that park is mainly used by the Hazlet lacrosse team as a result of Mr. Lemansky. So, yes, that's where we had some discussions, looking into some legalities and what makes the most sense for the family. But yes, if you want me to take it on, and I can continue to work with Steve and with Mary on Park Commission,
Well, I think you're the proper
Great.
contact person, and Steve certainly was more than willing to give you a call. And one of the options possibly could be, and we do not have this, but would be to have the field named after the person and the park's name stay the same.
love it.
MSU has done something that we're all going to die off pretty soon from the late 60s era. I didn't even know when I went to a couple of games there that Cobes Field in McLean Stadium is now Jeff Ishbia Field, not, what's his brother's, the really rich one. The guy there's his brother owns the Phoenix Suns and played for Izzo, but this is Jeff, who I believe gave quite a bit of money to the baseball, MSU baseball. And I think that it's a bit garish that if you know what you're looking at, because the letters are about 4 feet high, you can't escape seeing that this is Jeff Ishbia Field all over the outfield. And it was named for John Cobes, who was not the coach when I was there. And now his memory or legacy is a very nice plaque that's on a pedestal near the men's baseball field.
Okay. I'll have to take a look at that.
Well, it's not going to get reversed, but the idea to me of, I don't know, Courtney Wazinski Field would be a pretty good lengthy one there. But just the idea of someone's name plastered on something, maybe they didn't really feel that's why they gave the money either.
I will say that doing a little research, Park Commission adopted in 2008 park naming rules. So looking through those and just working through the process. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Can I check a copy? Director Wazinski, could we review those at the next meeting?
The park
Yes.
naming rules, sure.
Yes, thank you.
I think for this particular request or issue, Courtney's going through some of the additional information. I believe we're either waiting or to review some additional information from the family to bring to the commission.
I think that's-
An actual proposal at
That's
a
only
later.
proper and respectful.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Okay, Commissioner Rambo.
Just a quick thing, my fiance and I went to, is it Ferguson? Launch and Ferguson, I get them confused.
Yeah,
Ferguson's the one that's
Too.
always flooded and has the steps.
Then Wanch. We went to Wanch, and it was so well used. Like
Yeah.
that workout equipment, there were
So
so
fun.
many, like especially seniors on it, but also young people and like tons of people using that. I was so impressed.
Yeah.
So we're getting
I
great
love
use
it.
out of it.
It's, the pavilion, I can tell you, the pavilion's rented all summer, so it's, yeah, it's a pretty park, so. Good, I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to see it, or spend time there.
Yeah.
I just want to offer some congratulations because my understanding is Commissioner Rambo in 2 weeks will be a married woman.
That is
So-
true. Yeah.
Very nice. Congratulations.
I wish you well.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Very
2
excited.
weeks.
Yeah. You seem very calm.
She's on
I'm a
TV.
good actor.
With that, do we have anything else, Director Wazinski?
I don't.
Not. Our next meeting is June 10th at 4:30 at the Senior Center. Commissioner Lick, Vice Chair Lick will be chairing that meeting.
Okay.
Because I will not be here, and I will adjourn our meeting tonight at 5:43.
Wonderful.
Mark can get off to his
Thank you very much.
big date for his anniversary. You've been very
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.